On the night of February 1st, 1959, 9 experienced hikers, some of the best in the Soviet Union, made camp on a remote mountain slope in the Ural Mountains of Russia. They were young, they were trained, they were completely prepared for the harsh winter conditions. By morning, every single one of them was dead. Their tent had been ripped open from the inside. Their bodies were found scattered across the snow, some half-dressed in the freezing cold, some with catastrophic internal injuries, but no external wounds, no signs of an attack, no footprints from any other person. The Soviet government classified the case almost immediately, and for over 60 years, nobody could explain what happened on that mountain. This is the Dyatlov Pass Incident, and it remains one of the most terrifying and baffling unsolved mysteries in human history. Section 1. The hikers. To understand this mystery, we first need to know who these people were, because they were not beginners. They were not reckless. They were extraordinarily skilled. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute. Igor was a natural-born leader. He had already completed several difficult mountain expeditions and was known for his careful, methodical planning. The rest of the group consisted of 8 fellow students and graduates, most in their early to mid-20s. Among them was Zinaida Kolmogorova, described by friends as warm, energetic, and fearless. There was also Rustem Slobodin, a mechanical engineer with a reputation for staying calm under pressure, and Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko, 2 close friends who were always joking around, keeping the group's morale high. One member stands out especially, Semyon Zolotaryov. He was 38 years old, significantly older than the rest. He was a war veteran and an experienced mountaineer. He had specifically requested to join this group. Nobody fully understood why a man of his background and experience would want to join a student hiking trip. That detail would later become significant. Their goal was to reach the summit of Otorten, a mountain whose name in the local Mansi language translates to "Don't go there." The trip was rated Category 3, the highest difficulty level for Soviet hiking expeditions at that time. But these 9 people had trained for exactly this kind of challenge. They were ready, or so they thought. Section 2. The journey begins. The group departed on January 23, 1959. For the first several days, everything went exactly as planned. They traveled by train to a small town called Ivdel, then continued by truck to a remote village called Vichai, the last inhabited settlement before the wilderness. From there, they moved on foot into the deep snow and dense forest of the northern Urals. One member of the group, a man named Yuri Yudin, had to turn back early due to severe joint pain. He said goodbye to his friends on January 28th. Yuri Yudin never saw them again. He would be the only member of the group to survive. For the rest of his life, he died in 2013. Yudin said he never stopped thinking about what happened to his friends on that mountain. He carried that guilt and grief until his final days. The remaining 9 hikers pushed on. They were making good progress. Igor Dyatlov kept a detailed group diary, and individual members also wrote personal journal entries. The tone of these writings is light, cheerful, even funny, full of inside jokes and small daily moments. Nothing suggests any fear or tension. On the evening of February 1st, the group reached the slopes of a mountain called Kholat Syakhl. In the Mansi language, that name translates to Dead Mountain. Due to worsening weather conditions and poor visibility, they decided to set up camp right there on the mountainside rather than descend to the tree line below. This decision, to stay on the exposed slope rather than find shelter in the forest, would cost them everything. Section 3. The Discovery. When the group failed to return or send any communication by February 12th, their families began to worry. A search and rescue operation was launched on February 20th. What the rescuers found on that mountainside would haunt them for the rest of their lives. First, they found the tent. It was partially buried under snow. But here is the thing that immediately struck the searchers as deeply wrong. The tent had been cut open from the inside. Not torn by wind, not clawed open by an animal. Cut deliberately from within, as if the hikers had needed to escape in a desperate hurry. and then the searchers saw the footprints. 8 or 9 sets of footprints leading away from the tent, downward, toward the forest, about a kilometer away. The footprints showed that most of the hikers were either barefoot or wearing only socks in temperatures that had dropped to minus 30 degrees Celsius, minus 30, in the dark, in the snow, running away from their shelter. The first 2 bodies were found near the edge of the forest, beneath a large cedar tree. They were Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko, the 2 friends who were always making jokes. They were found in their underwear. Their hands were badly burned, as if they had tried to climb the tree or reach a fire. Branches of the cedar had been broken off as high as 5 meters up, as if someone had desperately climbed it, perhaps to look for something or to escape something. 3 more bodies were found nearby: Igor Dyatlov, Zenaida Kolmogorova, and Rustem Slobodin. They were found in postures that suggested they had been trying to crawl back toward the tent, as if, having fled in terror, they had changed their minds and tried to return. They never made it. The remaining 4 hikers were not found until May, when the snow began to melt. They were discovered in a ravine, buried under several meters of snow, and this is where the case stops being merely tragic and becomes truly inexplicable. Section 4. The injuries that defy explanation. The 4 hikers found in the ravine had suffered injuries so severe that the lead forensic investigator, Dr. Boris Vozrojdeny, said, and I want you to really hear these words, he said the force required to cause these injuries was equal to that of a car crash. Nikolai Thibault-Brignol had massive skull fractures. Lyudmila Dubinina and Semyon Zolotaryov both had multiple broken ribs, not cracked, but completely shattered, along with serious chest trauma. But here is what makes this medically extraordinary. What made it so baffling to investigators: there was no external damage, no bruising on the skin, no cuts, no marks, no evidence of anything striking them from the outside. Perhaps a parachute mine, which detonates above ground and can cause exactly the kind of internal injuries found on the bodies without leaving external marks. The low-level radiation found on their clothing, the government's quick move to classify the investigation. These details are consistent with a military cover-up. Semyon Zolotaryov, the older mysterious member of the group, has also been suspected by some of being a KGB informant, which raises further questions about why he joined this particular expedition. Theory 4. The Mansai people. The Mansi are the indigenous people of the northern Urals region. Some early Soviet investigators suspected they may have attacked the hikers for trespassing on sacred land. However, this theory was quickly dismissed. There was 0 evidence of any other people at the scene, and the Mansai themselves cooperated fully with investigators. Theory 5. Something we cannot explain. And then, of course, there are those who believe something else entirely was on that mountain that night. Something that left no footprints because it did not walk. Witnesses in the region reported seeing glowing orange spheres in the sky above the Ural Mountains around the time of the hikers' deaths. Soviet military officials acknowledged these sightings but never explained them. Photographs found on the hikers' cameras, developed after the discovery, showed strange blurry lights in the night sky. Were these rockets, weather phenomena, or something else? Section 6. What we still don't know. In 2019, Russia, on the night of February 1st, 1959, 9 experienced hikers, some of the best of the Soviet Union, made camp on a mountain slope in the Ural Mountains of Russia. They were young. They were completely prepared for the hard winter conditions. By morning, every single one of them was dead. They had been ripped open from the inside. Their bodies were found scattered across the snow, some half-dressed in the freezing cold, some with catastrophic internal injuries, but no external wounds, no signs of, no footprints from any other person. The Soviet government classified the case almost immediately, and for over 60 years, nobody could explain what happened on that mountain. This is the Dyatlov Pass Incident, and it remains one of the most terrifying, baffling, unsolved mysteries in history. Section 1. The hikers. To understand this myth, we first need to know who these were, because they were not beginners. They were not reckless. They were extraordinarily skilled. The group was led by Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute. Igor was a born leader. He had already completed several difficult mountain expeditions and was known for his careful planning. The rest of the group contained 8 fellow students and graduates, most in their early to mid-20s. Among them was Ziva, described friends as warm, energetic, and fearless. There was also Rostem Slobodin, a mechanical engineer with a reputation for pressure, and Yuri Doroshenko and Yonishenko, 2 close friends who were always joking, keeping the group's morale high. A member stands out especially: Semyon Zolotaryov. He was 38 years old, significantly older than the rest. He was a war veteran and an experienced mountaineer. He had specifically requested to join this. Nobody fully understood why a man of his mountain experience would want to join a hiking trip. That detail would later become significant. Their goal was to reach the summit of Otorten, a mountain whose name in the Low Mansi language translates to "Don't go there." The trip was rated Category 3, the highest difficult Soviet hiking expedition. But these 9 people trained for exactly this kind of challenge.